Pfriem Family Brewers has opened up a second location in Milwaukee, just south of Portland, so you're now less than a half hour away from their 20-plus taps of award-winning beer and consistently delicious food. Plus, they're in an old firehouse where they turned the old fire pole into a fully functioning tap, which I think is really cool. And if beer isn't really your thing, well, they also have 3 bars with seasonal cocktails. Pfriem Milwaukee is open daily from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Head over to pfriembeer.com for a full menu. That's PFRIEM beer.com. Stuart Jeans is opening a store right here in Portland later this month, and if you haven't heard of them yet, let me tell you, they make stylish, comfortable clothes that are designed for a full day of living, from commuting to work to hanging out after. They're pioneers of blending technical innovation with everyday clothing without it looking like athletic wear. And you can try them out for yourselves now, because CityCast Portland listeners get 15% off your first order. Just mention the code CCPDX for your in-store purchase, or you can go online at shopduer.com/CCPDX. That's shopduer.com/CCPDX for 15% off your first order. With cooler weather on the way, now is the perfect time to replace any old drafty windows. And this month you get 50% off all window styles at Window Nation. Plus, you could put 0 down, make 0 payments, and pay 0 interest for 2 whole years. They also use high-quality Milgard windows manufactured here in Portland that come with a lifetime warranty. Schedule a fast free estimate now with Window Nation at windownation.com. That's windownation.com. License number OR2499065. We only have about a week of summer left, but that doesn't mean your opportunity for outdoor adventures has passed, because in addition to pumpkin patches and watching the fall foliage come in, our city is surrounded by wonderful places to explore, from fish viewing at the Bonneville Dam to Halloween-themed hikes you won't want to miss. So today on CityCast Portland, we're talking with local adventurer and the Portland ambassador for Women Who Explore, Carrie Carnes. She's got ideas for some outdoor seasonal activities for everyone to enjoy. It's Tuesday, September 16th. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Well, before we get into your picks, what are your tips for enjoying the outdoors during the season change into fall? Like, what can people do to get the most out of it?
Yeah. So I live by the mantra, there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad gear. So rain jacket, absolute must. If you have the ability to do rain pants, that can be really helpful. But the next thing I would focus on is waterproof shoes or hiking boots, because if you take care of your feet will take care of you. Also, just don't forget the 10 essentials whenever you're going out. I know when the cooler weather is upon us, a lot of folks think that they don't need as much water because it's not as sunny, but it's actually easier to get dehydrated in cooler weather because your thirst reflex isn't automatically there. And then something else I would definitely consider in your pack is a headlamp. Because the days are shorter, it means it's going to get darker quicker. But yeah, you just want to be prepared so that you can make the most out of this potentially rainy or misty and cooler weather.
That headlamp pointer is, I want to just make sure it's set again, because that always sneaks up on me, especially right when the season changes, how shorter the days are. And I think in most people's heads, they're just like, I have till 8, right? And you're just like, oh my God, it's 6 o'clock and it's so dark now. You know?
Yeah.
oh no, now it's 4 and I can't see.
Totally. And then depending on where you are on, like if you're out in the woods or on like the other side of a mountain or a hill, the sun sets even earlier because the mountain could block it. And then you've got the thick canopy of the trees adding to the darkness.
Exactly. Well, are there any permits that you think we should start looking into now?
Permits. Well, that is a timely topic because we are getting into one of my favorite things about fall, and fall is absolutely my favorite season in the Northwest. This is the time of year where people start ramping up for mushroom foraging. And so a lot of times we just think about maybe we need like a Northwest Forest pass, or maybe we need certain passes to access the gorge. But if you do intend to forage for mushrooms, depending on where you're foraging, you might actually need a permit. These permits are free and they're available online, but it really does depend on where you're going. So the wet weather can bring out these fall mushrooms that are really good to eat, like chanterelles. And so some national forests, like the Gifford Pinchot, require a free personal use permit, whereas other forests, like Mount Hood National Forest, don't require a permit if you're just using it for personal use and personal consumption. What I would do is I would search on the web for wherever you're going to just confirm what their kind of policies are. And usually there's a limit to how many gallons that you can. I know I'm talking gallons of mushrooms. It's hard to imagine, but
Yeah.
if you really hit a good vein or a good stash, you can definitely get gallons of mushrooms. But yeah, mushrooming, even if you're not looking to actually forage for consumption, it can just be really fun to admire these kind of fascinating organisms. And the more you know about them, the more fascinating they get.
That is really cool. I had no idea that you needed a mushroom foraging permit. Good to know. I will start looking about I will look into that. So let's get into the hikes. Like, what are some of your favorite fall hikes?
Oh my gosh, that is probably the hardest question that you could ask me, because fall brings out so many different things. You obviously have fall foliage that's changing. You have the waterfalls that are often more full as rains come. So it's really difficult to narrow it down. But just off the top of my head, I know I've probably mentioned this before on the last time I was on, but the Salmon River Trail, both the old Salmon River and the Salmon River Trail, are favorites of mine. They are in the Zigzag Ranger District on Mount Hood. So you do need a car to get to them, but there's just something magical about this thick old growth forest. Not only are the mushrooms popping up, but you can almost imagine fairies just dancing amongst the old growth. And a fun thing to do also in the fall is, as salmon are spawning and they're swimming upstream back to their tributaries of origin, their streams of origin where they were born, on the Salmon River Trail, almost annually, I go there, I hike, and I get to see salmon spawning, which you just feel like you're on this little nature documentary. Because if you sit by the water and then you see the males, there's usually a couple males waiting to fertilize the females' eggs. And it's really this kind of circle of life dance that is pretty fascinating to watch. I'm also a big fan, obviously, of waterfalls and water, because how can you not be when we're surrounded by it? But Silver Falls State Park, obviously it's south of Portland, but there's the trail of, I think, 10 waterfalls. And what's great about that is put on your raincoat, your rain pants, because you're going to get wet, because chances are it's going to be raining. But also you get to actually walk behind one of the waterfalls, and it's just thundering. And also want to give just a quick shout out to a couple other hikes that are related. They're great in the fall because of huckleberries. So huckleberries are the super tasty berry that usually grows at higher elevations. So you're not going to find it necessarily in Portland, but if you get up on Mount Hood, you'll find it there. And so what's cool is in the fall, while the berries have gone, the leaves turn this vibrant, bright red. So I want to recommend Umbrella and Sahaley Falls trails up on Mount Hood. Beautiful hike. Not only are you going to see these vibrant huckleberries, but you'll also get to check out some waterfalls too.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I just had a friend who did a backpacking trip like along the Olympic Cascades, just that area just north of the Ho in Washington. And she said that there were so many huckleberries that they actually had to stop themselves because they're like, we're going to make ourselves sick.
Yeah.
It's like they were just like couldn't stop because they're so good, and they're just, and it's free. You're like, oh my gosh.
Right. It's just right there, literally at your arm's reach. You can just be hiking and snacking and hiking and snacking. And
Yeah.
though I know huckleberry season is almost passing, but just a recommendation. If you're on a trail, don't eat the huckleberries that are below like your knees or your calves, because I've seen dogs pee on them on the trail.
Oh, yeah. That's just a good note for anything of foraging. Don't knees and below. Don't do it. Real quick on the Salmon River Trail, I've been fortunate enough to see a salmon spawn, happening. But is that also when you see the the zombie fish?
Yeah. So a lot of people don't realize or may not realize that salmon, their life cycle is they're born in streams and then they go out to the ocean where they spend the bulk of their life, and then they actually swim upstream and return to where their nest was. And then they die. So literally the last act before they die is that they reproduce. So when they're coming back from the ocean, they've gone to the ocean, they've gotten really fat and happy, and then they don't eat a whole lot on their journey upstream. So if you do Google like zombie salmon, it's kind of traumatic the way they look. So just be prepared for that. And then you'll often see a lot of dead salmon along the banks of the river.
I just wanted to give a heads up for someone who's just like, oh, we're going to see all this beautiful salmon and then spawning in the eggs. And I'm like, listen, it is like Walking Dead salmon. And
Yes.
I think there really should be more of a thematic display for it since we're getting so close to Halloween. Like, I really feel like state forests and federal forests should just be more like, ooh, zombie salmon, and like that could be a whole thing. Doesn't your organization do like Halloween costume hikes?
We do. Yeah.
I think those are so cool. Like, when is an upcoming Halloween costume hike?
So we should be putting them on the schedule pretty soon. So I'm an ambassador with Women Who Explore, which we take women out into hikes. We host events. And so for the last few years leading up to Halloween, I know it sounds silly, but I really think that we could all use more play and levity in our lives. So you get a group of like 10 or 12 women who are dressed up in anything from like, kind of classic witches and skeletons to like bumblebees or whatever it is. And we'll usually do some of the easier hikes and then end it with like snacks and just the looks that you get from other hikers as their heads kind of turn and they're like, what the heck is going on? It brings a little bit of whimsy into the outdoors. And, if Portland, keep Portland weird, I think there's a lot of Portlanders who can really get down with wearing a costume on a hike. And especially on these gray days, if you have kind of this little like trail of, women from Women Who Explore who are just bebopping down the trail. So you can find us on Facebook, Women Who Explore Portland, and check out our events section. These are all free events, and see if you can snag one of the spots for our upcoming Halloween costume hikes.
That's so cool. All right, well, let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, some places to go to see the leaves changing. Traveling after Labor Day might be a cheat code because trails and beaches are less crowded and we're past all those scorching hot days. So if you're looking to explore a bit more of Oregon before the rains come, skip Airbnb and Vrbo and hit up Cascadia Getaways. They're locally owned and operated by Oregonians who love this state as much as you do. Plus, they're on average 5 to 15% cheaper than most of these larger vacation rental platforms. They've got stunning homes across Mount Hood, the coast, Central Oregon, and more. And if you're currently in the market for someone to manage your vacation property, Cascadia Getaways is always looking for local partners. Whether you choose to book with Cascadia Getaways or another property manager, remember just to book direct, book local, save money. It's a win-win. Visit CascadiaGetaways.com to book your next trip or connect with their team. That's CascadiaGetaways.com. Hey, all you wine drinkers out there, grape harvest is coming, and I know we're spoiled here in the Willamette Valley, but if you're looking to spread your wine tasting wings, I just made that up. Walla Walla Valley in Southeast Washington is home to more than 130 wineries offering great wines and new vineyard experiences. Like, I've actually been wanting to check out Abeja, which means bee in Spanish, by the way. Their grounds look beautiful, and 4-time James Beard Award nominee chef Mike Easton heads their kitchen. And there are so many other beautiful grounds to explore that are constantly putting on special events and prefix menus. Plus, Walla Walla has a walkable historic downtown core where you can enjoy more farm fresh fine dining from other celebrated chefs. It's just a scenic 4-hour drive away, and many of these wineries have adorable accommodations on their estates. Head over to wallawalla.org for more info and to plan your visit today. That's wallawalla.org. As some longtime listeners might know, I can't do dairy. I would love to, but my body does not allow it. And it's been so hard finding protein supplements or quick pre- and post-workout fuel on busy days because almost everything that's out there is either whey or milk protein dependent. Fortunately, Huel's Black Edition powder is 100% vegan, and it can either be used as the perfect post-workout recovery meal or as a quick meal if you just don't have time to cook. Huel, spelled Huel, is packed with 40 grams of plant-based protein and 27 essential vitamins and minerals. Plus, there's no added sugar and it's gluten-free. But most importantly, at least to me, is that it actually tastes good. It comes in flavors like salted caramel, chocolate, and cinnamon roll. And Huel just dropped a new product called the Daily Greens Ready to Drink. It's a sparkling beverage that comes in delicious flavors like blueberry, apple, and peach. It's made by dietitians, so it's also jam-packed with nutrients and fiber. You can try Huel for yourself with 15% off for new customers using code Portland at huel.com/Portland. That's HUEL.com/Portland. Fuel your best performance with Huel today. Well, Carrie, what are some of your favorite hikes to see some leaves changing?
Oh, good question. You don't have to go very far. We're so lucky to have Forest Park in our backyard. So a couple things that are all in that kind of Forest Park, Washington Park area, again, accessible, some of them by public transit. In Forest Park, what you want to keep an eye out for are big leaf maples. And big leaf maples have big leaves, and those leaves turn bright yellow. And so there's a couple trails. They're all named. I mean, it's very convenient. The Maple Trail, the Maple Trail and the Wildwood Loop in Forest Park is kind of a classic. There's also the Leif Erikson Trail, which is kind of a wider trail in that same vicinity of Forest Park. Those are great places to look. So again, looking for those big leaf or broadleaf maples. The other one that I usually take my family to is in Hoyt Arboretum. It's very close to one of the parking areas. Inside the Arboretum, there are these clusters of different types of trees, which are great when you're just learning about them. But they have the maple collection, which is this strip of maple trees. And I got to tell you, I go there and there's always families with like the photographer doing kind of that classic photo of families. And, but there's this little almost tunnel that's made with some of the maple trees that's just positively gorgeous. And also close by to that. Yeah, it's really photogenic. It's just, you go there, you can't help, whether it's for the gram or for your, holiday card at the end of the year. There's a lot of people snapping photos in the fall. It's a pretty good vibe. And then also close to home, the Japanese garden. So they even have, I don't know if you've seen this on their website, but they actually have a fall colors tracker. They have it set up so that they alert people, almost like the tulip farms in the spring will give you reports about what percentage of the tulips are out. The Japanese garden has a fall colors tracker.
Oh, it's amazing, especially because they have one of the most photographed trees in the world. I don't think I'm making that up. I really do feel like that is the tree that you see everywhere when you type in, Japanese maple, and you're just like, oh, that's the Japanese garden here in Portland.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I can see it in my mind's eye.
Well, what about out of town? What are some good places to check out some, non-Portland leaves? Let's put it that way.
Yeah, non-Portland leaves. So the other thing that I really like, not leaves, but moss. So there's something about the combination of kind of grayer days where the moss that grows, it usually flanks often the waterfalls themselves, and it turns so vibrant. I don't know if it's the juxtaposition with the dark kind of gray black basalt rock on which it's growing, but it literally looks neon. You swear on certain hikes and certain places that there's a light bulb behind it because the moss is so vibrant. So some of those are Lateral Falls in kind of that waterfall trail right there in the Columbia Gorge scenic area. And if you want to go a little bit farther out, and this is across the river in Washington, there's Lewis River Falls, which is actually 3 different waterfalls, which you get a lot of bang for your buck there. As you can tell, I'm a big fan of waterfalls, and especially if there's a trail that has multiples. There's also another hike called Falls Creek Falls. And then there's also Dry Creek Falls, which is kind of a funny name, and that's on the Oregon side. So basically, wherever you can find a waterfall, step back so that you can also see the vibrant green that surrounds it. And then I also just want to give a plug. I know it might seem played out. I know Multnomah Falls is kind of the icon of the entire state, but it's that for a reason. And so, if you ask me what hike to do every season, I would say just swing by Multnomah just to see how her personality changes over the seasons, because you'll have this iconic, towering cascading waterfall that will look different every time you visit it.
Yeah. I guess it's cool that Falls Creek Falls has so many falls, but they could have done something really funny there. Like, what is going
Did someone
on?
fall off the falls, or
Yeah.
was the person's last name Fall and they discovered
Falls.
it?
Oh, yeah. Peter Falls. Yeah. Well, so I know fall is the season for you, and one of your favorite landscape features are larches. Now, can you tell us a little bit about them and where people can go see them right now? When people talk to me about larches, I'm always just like, it sounds like a Dr. Seuss character.
Yes, and it could be, because they're that special. So I'm going to put on my amateur arborist hat for a second and take us back to elementary school science class. So what's fun about larches is, so here in the Northwest, we have lots of conifers, which are these trees that have like pine cones, and we think of Doug firs and spruces. And so those are conifers, but they're evergreen. But there's also a different type of conifer, which is deciduous. So deciduous conifers, there's not a whole lot of them, but larches are one of them. And so what makes them so special, and it's people kind of get like larch fever around this time of year.
Oh, is that a thing?
I'm serious, because almost like in Portland, when there's the cherry blossoms, it's such a fleeting period of time that everybody just flocks to it. It's very similar with larches. It's a very narrow window, like maybe 2 weeks or so, give or take.
Oh, so it's a short window.
It's a short window. So they change into this vibrant golden yellow, and then they lose their needles. So I don't know of an official, like the Japanese garden puts out alerts for their fall colors. I wish there was a repository for alerts on when the larches are popping. But usually it's about mid-September through mid-October or so. Another interesting thing is that Larch Mountain, which many people might have heard of, which is in the gorge. We were just talking about names and how names are funny. Larch Mountain doesn't actually have any larches.
See, that's hilarious.
Yes.
There we go. There's a fun little trick for you.
I know. And the reason, so this is even more interesting. So I did some research into that, and it was like an old-timey marketing ploy, because larches were more valuable than other types of trees.
Oh.
And so they're like, hey, come buy my trees. They come from Larch Mountain, wink, wink. And they weren't actually larches.
Okay, there was never a larch mountain. So I know we have some nice Japanese larch to check out at the Hoyt Arboretum, but what about out of town? Is there anything, we don't have to go all the way to the Cascades, but like anything kind of close-ish out of town that you would suggest, like a nice little hike or something for those who had no idea larches existed, like Carrie, until you came on the show and spoke about them. And then I was like, what is a larch? Oh, okay.
Allow me to introduce you. It really does sound like a Dr. Seuss thing. Like the more I say it out loud, it's like, it's Dr. Seuss.
We need something to rhyme with starch. Here, I got it. Larch.
Right? So yes, you can definitely go to the Hoyt Arboretum and see a Japanese larch. So there's the northern, the alpine, the Japanese, lots of different types. But if you do happen to have access to a car, because this is going to be a little bit of a drive, it's on the east side of Mount Hood. So you have to go, a lot of Portlanders kind of congregate on the west side of Hood, and there's amazing hikes. So why not? But you'll have to go over to the east side. There's a couple hikes that come to mind that are a little bit, I wouldn't call them an easy walk in the park. So I would definitely encourage folks to do their research, make sure they have the right gear. But Flag Point Lookout, which is the lookout point. So if you were to search on, say, Oregon Hikers, which by the way is an amazing, amazing website and fantastic tools and resources, and you were to look up Flag Point Lookout, you could find a couple different hikes that weave their way to that lookout. So that could be your end destination. There is a fire lookout there. I don't know if you can go up in it, because the state of Oregon actually rents out some of those fire lookouts, which is super cool if you can snag one. The other place where you can, pretty confidently see larches is 5 Mile Butte. And you can access it. This is where it's kind of like a mouthful. 5 Mile Butte can be accessed by 8 Mile Creek Loop. So if you get those confused, you're not alone, and you'll be able to see them. I've seen photos. I've not gone myself, but I think this year so I've gone up to the Northern Cascades and done a larch march up there, me and like half of Seattle. And so I'm interested. I'm not even kidding. It was,
You're just like, there's so many of us. Cool.
yeah. But I'm definitely going to check out Flag Point Lookout and 5 Mile Butte this year.
Nice. Well, let's take a quick break here. When we come back, what if you don't want to hike? What if you just want to enjoy fall? Carrie's got some ideas. Look, I know we're pretty spoiled with exceptional wine here in the Willamette Valley, but if you're looking to expand your wine tasting horizons, Walla Walla Valley in Southeast Washington is home to more than 130 wineries offering new vineyard experiences. And on Saturday, October 4th, they're offering the perfect pairing: world-class music and wine. Grammy-nominated soul artist Alan Stone is putting on an intimate show promising powerful vocals and feel-good energy at the Motor Co. in the heart of downtown Walla Walla. If you make it a long weekend, their historic downtown area is walkable and lined with farm-fresh fine dining. For more information or to purchase tickets, head over to dossierwine.com/events. That's dossierwine.com/events. Okay, I have the next 60 seconds to convince you to go check out Dewar Jeans. You can time me. Are we ready? Okay, go. Dewar makes stylish, bike-friendly clothes that are designed to keep you cool, comfortable, and looking good. They're pioneers of blending technical innovation with everyday clothing without it looking like boring athletic wear. Like, even if these clothes weren't made with Coolmax, which is supposed to regulate your body temp and wick moisture, you would want to wear them. They gave me a pair of jeans to try out, and y'all, they look good. And they're not harnessing the full power of the sun and directing it straight to my legs like most other jeans do when it's sunny and above 70 degrees. And CityCast Portland listeners get 15% off their first order. You can either just mention the code CCPDX for your first in-store purchase or go online at shopdewar.com/CCPDX. That's shopdeuer.com/CCPDX. Time. What was that? 58 seconds? Well, before we wrap up, how about some ideas for outdoor activities that aren't hikes?
Are there any? I can't think. No, I'm just kidding. Why would you?
You're like,
why would you want to do an outdoor activity that isn't hiking? No, seriously. We're so lucky to live where we live. There's so many opportunities, based on your interest. And so earlier I mentioned that salmon are migrating in the fall, quite a few salmon. And so at Sandy River Delta, there is a salmon homecoming ceremony. And I don't have that date in front of me. But I definitely encourage you to check it out. It is right there, kind of Sandy, Oregon, Sandy River Delta area. And then you can pair it with one of my favorite places to stop, whether I've been hiking or not, at Sugar Pine Drive-In. Even in the winter, yes, they're open year-round. I know a lot of folks think about them associating their fabulous ice cream sundaes with summer, but they are open year-round. So basically, I'm just trying to come up with any excuse to go to Sugar Pine that I can.
Real quick, though, I just want to jump in that the salmon homecoming this year is Sunday, October 19th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it looks amazing. I didn't know this happened. And it's really close to Gresham, so it's like not that far from Portlanders here. They do suggest that you bring cash because there's a lot of indigenous marketplace artists and entrepreneurs. And I'm looking at pictures, and I don't know if this means this happens every year, but it looks like they're preparing salmon in the traditional way, like with the stick.
Yes.
And they put them near the fire. Oh man, I really want to eat some salmon. And I mean, if there's actual indigenous fishermen out there with smoked salmon, that's some of the best smoked salmon you're going to get. So I'm really excited about that. Anything that has food, Carrie, I'll be honest. Like, you're just like, here's this beautiful cultural thing. I'm like, there's going to be food though?
And if you can pair food with nature, I mean, it's, the best tasting sandwich I ever eat is the sandwich I eat while I'm on a hike. It doesn't matter what's in it. It's just food with a view.
Yeah.
But you could also pair that. You could do a little day trip into the gorge. You could hit the salmon homecoming ceremony. And then also, if you wanted to get more salmon, you could go to the fish viewing window at Bonneville Dam. Some days, particularly now in the fall when the salmon are running, they have, 10,000 plus salmon that pass in a day. So it's these viewing windows, and it's on both the Oregon and Washington side of the dam. Some people may not realize that there's visitor centers on both sides of the river. There are, and they're different. They have different things to offer, but the fish viewing window is pretty cool. And fun fact, there's a person in a room next to the fish viewing window that's sitting there actually counting the salmon, what kind they are, how big they are, whether they're hatchery raised. And then if you want to continue kind of your day trip, so from Bonneville Dam, you can go into Cascade Locks. And one thing I like to do, but if you're afraid of heights, you might not want to do this, is walk across the Bridge of the Gods. Every time I have friends in town, I'm like, I'm going to drag you across Bridge of the Gods. And no, there is not a sidewalk.
Do they like it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Be forewarned, there is no sidewalk on Bridge of the Gods.
You're sharing it with cars,
You're
right?
sharing it with cars. And I believe the speed limit is supposed to be 5 miles an hour.
Oof,
and it's, there's, I don't know if I can say this, but the pucker factor is real.
I love that this is your recommendation, though. You're like, by the way.
And you're allowed to walk across Bridge of the Gods, though.
Yeah. It's part of the PCT trail.
Exactly.
Like you're supposed to walk across the Bridge of the Gods.
Yeah. And you can walk in the footsteps of countless PCT hikers that do that. And they do charge a toll. So it's lesser than the car toll, but they do still charge a toll.
Yeah. So what about, I know this is going to sound maybe a little trite, maybe a little basic, but what about pumpkin patches and corn mazes? Like, what do you think?
I'm pro pumpkin patch.
Okay. Oh, good. We were wondering.
I have not had my first pumpkin spice latte of the season yet. I have not. Mm-hmm. But I did get pumpkin hand cream from Trader Joe's, and it smells so good. I want to eat it.
Well, you're almost there.
Yeah. So we're also really fortunate in the Portland area to live close to Sauvie Islands. I do believe you need a car to get there. There's multiple small farms, and I think that's really important. So, whether you're like pro pumpkin patch or not, going there, you're supporting a small business. You don't have to, take obligatory like photos or, toss leaves in the air and capture it just perfectly for the gram or, whatever you don't have to stage the photo shoot. Different farms will have different offerings. One of my favorite farms, I can't remember which one it is, but they actually allow dogs in the pumpkin patch, which is kind of cool.
That is the coolest.
I'm not really a corn maze person, and I'm definitely not a haunted corn maze, but there are haunted corn mazes out there. I think we're just at the tail end of the sunflower season. So there's kind of that overlap where the sunflowers almost like herald the transition from summer to fall, but there might still be some sunflowers to be had at some of those farms. And yeah, there's probably some pumpkin beer.
I mean, yeah, there's going to be pumpkin beer. Let's not mess around.
Let's be honest. It's Portland.
Yeah. Those listening, if you know about more pumpkin patches and corn mazes that are outside of Sauvie Island, by the way, I know that you said Sauvie. I say Sauvie. I think we're both right. I want you to know.
Oh my goodness. I'm so embarrassed.
Please do not. I just want you to know that I wasn't like passive aggressively correcting you. It's just the way I say it, and I refuse to say Sauvie. But anyhow, for those who know of other pumpkin patches and corn mazes outside of Sauvie Island, and you want to write them in, let us know, because I am trying very hard, since I live so close to Sauvie Island, to make that traffic jam a little bit better. I feel so sorry for anyone who's trying to get back into that island because they live there.
Perpetuating the pumpkin patch problem.
Yeah, let's go back onto your March Larch instead of creating a pumpkin patch problem. All right. Well, Carrie, thanks again for hanging out and giving us some great ideas. Really appreciate your time.
Always a pleasure. Thanks so much.
That's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, share it with a friend or rate and leave us a good review. It really helps us out. And don't forget, you can support this show and get some great perks by becoming a CityCast neighbor. Just visit membership.citycast.fm for all the details. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you with Slims.